Pinellas County welcomes you to the public hearing for the Dunedin Causeway Bridges Project Development and Environment, or PD&E study. This project is jointly sponsored by Pinellas County and the Florida Department of Transportation, or FDOT, and has been conducted in cooperation with the U.S. Coast Guard and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. This environmental study has been conducted in compliance with all applicable federal environmental laws and pursuant to 23 United States Code Section 327 and the implementing Memorandum of Understanding between FDOT and the Federal Highway Administration, signed on December 14, 2016. The FDOT Office of Environmental Management in Tallahassee is the approving authority. This hearing is being conducted to provide interested citizens an opportunity to ask questions and offer comments about the bridge replacement alternatives being proposed for this project. This study satisfies the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA, and other applicable policies, regulations, and procedures. This project complies with non-discrimination laws and regulations. Public participation is solicited without regard to race, color, national origin, age, sex, religion, disability, or family status. For the full list of federal and state requirements, please refer to the citation board located at the sign-in table. The study limits extend from west of Royal Stewart Arms Parkway on Honeymoon Island to the intersection of Gary Place Cary Circle on Ward Island. The study focused on potential improvements to the two existing bridges within the study limits. The main bascule, or movable, bridge spans the Gulf Intracoastal Waterway and connects Ward Island to the Dunedin Causeway. The Tide Relief Bridge spans the Relief Channel and connects the causeway to Honeymoon Island. Improvements to the roadway or beach areas along the causeway have not been evaluated during this study. The project is consistent with local transportation plans, including the 2045 Long-Range Transportation Plan for Pinellas County, also called Advantage Pinellas, and the Pinellas County Capital Improvement Program. Both the main and tide relief bridges were constructed in 1963 and do not meet current engineering standards for resisting damage from high waves during significant storms and vessel impact. Due to the narrow width of the bridges, both are considered functionally obsolete. The shoulders on the bridges are only 2 feet wide, and the sidewalks on the north side are only 3.5 feet wide. The multi-use path on the south side of the bridge is only 6 feet wide. Ongoing maintenance and repair of the main bridge machinery also affects reliability and results in traffic delays. The existing main bridge provides a minimum of 20 feet of vertical clearance and 90 feet of horizontal clearance for boats traveling on the waterway. The U.S. Coast Guard guidelines at this location are a minimum of 21 feet of vertical clearance for a new movable bridge. The U.S. Coast Guard recommends a minimum horizontal clearance of 100 feet between the fenders of any new bridge at this location on the Gulf Intracoastal Waterway. The existing typical section for both bridges includes one 11-foot wide travel lane with a 2-foot wide outside shoulder in each direction. A 6-foot wide sidewalk functions as a multi-use trail as part of the Pinellas Trail Spur on the south side, and a 3-foot 6-inch wide sidewalk exists on the north side. The total width of each bridge is 40 feet 1 inch. Dedicated bicycle lanes are currently not provided. Pinellas County held a public alternatives workshop on March 29, 2016 to present the no-build and the build alternatives under consideration at that time. 3 build alternatives for the main bridge and 1 build alternative for the Tide Relief Bridge were evaluated. Based on comments from the public, coordination with local officials, and more detailed engineering and environmental analysis, a preferred alternative was selected for further study. The Pinellas County Board of County Commissioners concurred with the staff recommendations for the preferred alternative, which included replacement of the existing main bridge with a new 2-lane mid-level movable bridge and replacement of the existing tide relief bridge with a new 2-lane low-level fixed bridge. The preferred alternative is estimated to cost $86.9 million, with $77.22 million for the main bridge and $9.68 million for the tide relief bridge. Construction of the preferred alternative will not require additional right-of-way. No business or residential relocations will result from construction of the proposed improvements. The proposed typical section for the replacement of both bridges has a total out-to-out width of 62 feet 7 inches. The typical section includes two 11-foot wide travel lanes with 8-foot shoulders that can function as undesignated bicycle lanes. A sidewalk 5 feet wide is proposed on the north side of the bridge. A multi-use trail as part of the Pinellas Trail Spur 15 feet wide is proposed on the south side of the bridge. The preferred alternative for the main bridge would provide 35 feet of vertical clearance over the navigation channel at the fenders in the closed position, which exceeds U.S. Coast Guard clearance requirements. Unlimited vertical clearance will be provided in the open position for the width of the channel between the fenders. The horizontal clearance between the fenders will be 100 feet. The new bridge would be constructed within existing right-of-way on approximately the same alignment as the existing bridge, and a temporary bridge would be required during construction. The preferred alternative for the tide relief bridge would provide 14.5 feet of minimum vertical navigational clearance and 18 feet at the center span. The horizontal clearance between the piers will be 115 feet. The new bridge would be constructed within existing right-of-way on an alignment slightly south of the existing bridge. There are advantages and disadvantages associated with constructing the preferred alternative. Advantages of the preferred alternative include: existing functional deficiencies would be corrected. Design life of bridges would be 75 years. The replacement bridges can be constructed within existing right-of-way. An existing grade of 3% would be maintained for the main bridge. Vertical navigation clearances for the main bridge would be increased to exceed U.S. Coast Guard standards. Vehicle turnarounds would be provided underneath both ends of the main bridge and the eastern end of the tide relief bridge. The number of bridge openings for the main bridge would be reduced by approximately 50% less than the existing condition. Disadvantages of the preferred alternative include: a temporary bridge would be required for the main bridge during construction. Increased visual impacts. Construction costs are higher than the no-build alternative. Minor impacts to wetlands would occur. In addition to the preferred alternative, the no-build alternative is considered a viable alternative and will remain so for the duration of this study. Under the no-build alternative, the main bridge and tide relief bridge would not be replaced, and only routine maintenance efforts would occur. Advantages of the no-build alternative include: no adverse impacts to recreational areas, wetlands, and wildlife. No visual impacts. No changes in access to local streets or recreation areas. No major project cost other than escalating maintenance costs. Disadvantages of the no-build alternative include: does not meet the purpose and need of the project. Existing functional deficiencies would not be corrected. Existing vertical clearance for the main bridge would not be improved to meet U.S. Coast Guard guide clearances. Substantial continuing bridge maintenance would be required. Expected service life would be relatively short, about 10 to 15 years. The project team looked at various environmental factors as part of the alternatives analysis. The project was evaluated for natural resources, which consists of threatened and endangered species and their respective habitats, including wetlands and surface waters. Cultural resources, consisting of archaeological and historic resources. Social and economic resources, including community impacts, such as residential and business relocations. And physical resources, including traffic noise, air quality, and contamination. Coordination with federal and state agencies resulted in a determination that the proposed project may affect, not likely to adversely affect, federally listed animal species. No federally designated critical habitat is present within the preferred alternative. While essential fish habitat exists within the project area, avoidance and minimization measures have been incorporated into the design to the greatest extent practicable, and any adverse impacts to wetlands and surface waters designated as essential fish habitat within the preferred alternative will be fully mitigated pursuant to Florida statutes and the United States Code. A total of 0.11 acre of permanent wetland impact and 0.25 acre of temporary wetland impact will result from construction of the preferred alternative. Although the preferred alternative does not propose additional travel lanes, the project will substantially alter the vertical alignment of the travel lanes at the bridges. The results of the noise analysis conducted for the study indicate that the project would not substantially increase traffic noise at any of the evaluated receptors and would not impact the noise-sensitive land uses within the project limits. 9 sites were identified in the vicinity of the study area relative to environmental contamination risks, with 1 site being rated as medium. The bridge structures were also surveyed to determine the potential presence of asbestos and metal base coatings. No asbestos-containing materials were identified. However, metals in the paints or coatings exist on the steel surfaces of the bridge structures. Pinellas County will further evaluate the potential contamination risks during the design phase of the project. Project archaeologists and historians have completed a cultural resource assessment survey of the project corridor. A maritime remote sensing survey was also conducted to identify potential submerged archaeological resources. Based on the results of these surveys, it was determined that the proposed project will have no involvement with any archaeological sites or historic resources that are listed, eligible, or considered potentially eligible for listing in the National Register of Historic Places, and no further archaeological survey was recommended. The project has been evaluated for potential Section 4F impacts. The provisions of Section 4F apply to any significant publicly owned parks, recreation areas, or wildlife and waterfowl refuges, as well as historic and archaeological sites, and properties which represent public multi-use land holdings. The preferred alternative will require permanent use of approximately 0.22 acre of the county-owned beach area of the Dunedin Causeway. The impact of the preferred alternative is minor and will not adversely affect the activities, features, or attributes that make the county-owned beach area of the Dunedin Causeway eligible for Section 4F protection. Therefore, the project sponsors are seeking approval for a de minimis finding for impacts to this resource. This hearing provides the opportunity for public comment on the project's use of the recreational areas of the Dunedin Causeway. If you have not had an opportunity to do so, you can review the proposed improvements on the display boards here tonight. A detailed alternatives comparison matrix is also on display this evening and is provided in tonight's handout. Following tonight's hearing, the project team will review all public input. We will then finalize the study documents and submit them to the FDOT Office of Environmental Management for review and approval, which is anticipated in late spring or early summer of 2020. Once approved, the project will move into the design phase, which is currently funded to begin in fiscal year 2024. Draft study reports are available for review at this hearing and have been on public display at the Dunedin Public Library and the Pinellas County Public Works Building. The display period began on February 19th and will continue through March 23, 2020. There are several ways to make a comment as part of the public hearing record. You can speak directly to the court reporter who is here this evening. The court reporter will also record verbatim the comments stated during the formal portion of the public hearing, which begins at 6:30 p.m. A Pinellas County representative will be moderating the formal public comment portion and may limit speaking times. You may complete a speaker card and give it to a representative at the sign-in table to indicate your interest to speak publicly. You may also complete a comment form and drop it in one of the comment boxes, or mail written comments to the address provided on the back of the form. Comment forms are available at the comment table. All comments must be received or postmarked by March 23, 2020, to become part of the public hearing record. We thank you for your participation at this public hearing and for your interest in this project. Remember to be alert today, alive tomorrow. Safety doesn't happen by accident.